Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm super excited to finally answer your burning questions about utilization reviewer versus skilled inpatient coordinator versus pre-service coordinator. My name is Dr. Emma Shapiro, and I'm a physical therapist just like you, struggling through the chaos of work. I apologize for my messy hair because today was a crazy day, but I'm super excited to try to help solve your burnout and potentially teach you more about these career paths, which are remote, high paying, and something that you can easily get into without additional schooling. So I'm really excited to go through our presentation on utilization review, skilled inpatient care coordinator, and pre-service care coordinator. So I'd love to know, what are your burning questions about these topics? Now, I've got a whole presentation here, but hey, Sherry, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to know where people are from. And also if you have a preference, if you would, really want to learn about utilization review, really want to learn about skilled inpatient care coordinator, let me know in the comments. That's going to help guide this presentation tonight. So really fast, what we're talking about are a series of jobs that are remote, high paying, and that you can get into without further education. Myself and Dr. Mike Chua, who's a wonderful co-host and oftentimes does all these lives, we really are excited about roles that you can do that are the following, that pay us what our clinical salary is, if not more, and that allow us to have more freedom. Maybe it's through a business or maybe it's through these remote opportunities. And FYI, these are full-time jobs. These are full-time 9-to-5 salaried retirement benefits, all that good stuff jobs that I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to give you the differential between the three because these are some options that you may not be aware of. A lot of people have heard utilization review, but maybe not the other two. So today I'm going to try to enlighten you. But really fast, why should care though, is because they're remote, they're high paying, similar to your clinical salary, if not more. So on average, these roles pay around $80,000 to $85,000 in between that range. And they also have amazing benefits. So let's get started here with these different opportunities. So who has heard about utilization review before? Usually that's probably the most common non-clinical or alternative healthcare career route that we get asked in our Facebook group. And I think a lot of people know about this and not the other jobs. But I'd love to know, what do you know about this role? What do you think? And I think today I also want to try to help people understand that these are not like evil companies. You're not doing something evil. We sometimes get some comments about, oh, you're selling your soul. No, you're not selling your soul. You're not. I really want to make this really apparent that you're using your clinical judgment. It's just as if you were to discontinue patient treatment, right? Because they're not getting any more progress. It's the same thing here. You're discontinuing reimbursement because that patient is not getting any more progress and does not need any more therapy. It's medical necessity, cut and dry. And so out of all the students, we've never had anyone come to us and say that they've felt pressured about making a certain decision or anything like that. So I just want to put that out there to start with. So what is utilization reviewer? So you've sometimes heard of it maybe called utilization management, clinical reviewer, therapist reviewer. Those titles are synonymous. Anthem uses therapist reviewer. I think Navi uses utilization or clinical reviewer, but they're synonymous. Really, what that means is that using your therapy background, your critical thinking, your decision-making, and your evidence-based knowledge, you're going to determine if the therapy notes that you're reading are medically appropriate for that care. That's the big role of utilization reviewer. So you're going to be reading therapist notes, and it may be speech therapists, it may be physical therapists, it may be occupational therapist or assistant notes, and you're looking for medical necessity. You're looking and remembering your evidence-based practice guidelines and saying, does this documentation and the billing meet those guidelines and those standards? If yes, awesome. Boom. If not, then some further investigation needs to happen. Is it just that this therapist was busy, like we all are. I mean, it's crazy, right? The standards of documentation they want. Like, I do not have time. I have another patient right now. It makes me really frustrated that they want such high standards because we have so much on our plate as therapists and assistants. But like, perhaps that therapist just didn't communicate well enough, and I just need to pull out a little bit more from them. So maybe I would call them up on the phone and talk to them about this and see if I can draw out and maybe have them do like an addendum to their note, something like that. If not, and it's pretty clear cut, like, no, this is not appropriate, then that's what you're going to make your statement for. You're going to write up that, this does not meet medical necessity. And as a result, it's not approved. So that's a little bit about what is a utilization reviewer. Does that help people understand a little bit more that description? Let me know in the comments, because I really want to help you today understand these roles. And because I don't want people just applying being like, it pays the same and it's remote. Yes. Like, I want you to know what you're getting yourself into, because I want you to be happy. So who can apply to be a utilization reviewer? So yes, assistants can apply to be a utilization reviewer. It's primarily PTs, OTs, and SLPs, but assistants can. You'll see that Anthem, actually right now, if you go to Anthem, has a lot of therapist assistant reviewer positions. So you can apply there. Now, sometimes they specify PTA and not CODA. Don't get mad at me, I'm just the messenger. But I would still have you apply, because that's how we all got into this boat, is that we applied for RN positions. We applied for these positions that didn't necessarily have our perfect requirements. And slowly they realized that you're a good candidate, that we were good candidates. So even though it says PTA, I would still, as a CODA or OTA, apply for these positions. But yes, assistants can be utilization reviewer or therapist reviewers as well. Any questions so far? Just let me know in the chat. Oh, here we go. Awesome. Sherry's got a question here. What percentage? Ooh, you know what, Sherry? So Sherry asked a really good question. I'm wondering what percentage on average that documentation is rejected. That is a tough one. You've stumped me. I do not, unfortunately, know that answer. I'll try to get back to some of our students and some of the people who have been utilization reviewers for several years and who even are, leaders and managers now in the industry, for Navi Health and for United and for Anthem. So that is a good question. I'll try to get back to you in the comments with an answer to that one, as I'm not sure. But that's a really good question. But the biggest thing I want to highlight is that, it's really about proper documentation. So it's about medical necessity. So there's no one telling you there needs to be a certain number to reject and approved. It's, how good are the documentation? Oh, you're welcome. And, it may vary from state and location too. So I'm happy to help. I appreciate you being on this video. So thank you. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to no one. So I appreciate when people are listening and commenting. Let me know if you guys have any other questions, and hopefully that I'm helping you understand a little bit more about these roles. And we're going to get into skilled inpatient care coordinator and pre-service in just a second. We're going through utilization reviewer right now. So what do you need to apply for this role? So you need to have an active unrestricted license. Now, a big thing to point out here is that although these roles are remote, or what I call hybrid remote or semi-remote, meaning, for example, the inpatient care coordinator positions, they're going to be half the time remote, half the time in the facility. For all of those positions, they still want you to have a license within that state that you're applying. So say, for example, I live in New Jersey. And so I applied for a utilization reviewer role in New Jersey. They would want me to have a New Jersey license and also live in New Jersey. Now, they're a little bit more picky, and I'll get to this in a minute, with how far you are away if you're applying to the other roles. So for inpatient care coordinator roles, they do want you to be about 30 miles driving or less. So you need to have your active unrestricted license. They would like you to have several years of clinical experience. Now, I've seen new grads get these positions. I've seen recent grads get these positions. So when you go and you're looking at the job applications, really just remember when you were a new grad and you applied because you had no other choice and you had to apply, and they all wanted 2 years of experience, but we still somehow got the job. This is the same thing. They want some years of experience, but it's okay if you don't. You just have to practice for the interview, have a strong set of answers prepared, and also have your resume really highlight what little experience you currently have. So if it says 3 years and you have 2 years, still apply. If it says 3 years and you have 1 year, still apply. So it's preferred. Once again, you're gonna see this in the ideal applicant section, is that they would like some authorization and case management experience, but this is once again preferred. They say this, but trust me, we've worked with over 200, almost 300 students. Many of them do not have pure authorization and case management experience. You want to think to yourself, well, we've looked at charts, right? We do documentation. We, look at, is someone medically necessary? So we are doing case management in a way. And that's how we, with our students, try to highlight, is that we have done and we understand these roles of chart reviewing and auditing because we do them every day as a therapist or as an assistant. So many of our students do not have, technically authorization or case management experience. They're just pure PTs, OTs, speech therapists. So don't get hung up on this right here. Acute care, rehab, outpatient, or skilled nursing facility is helpful. So they want you to have some rehab experience. They want team players. They want organization. Previous supervision of a assistant is a plus. Team meetings is a plus, and then knowledge of interqual and the Medicare guidelines. So, if looking at this, all of you can be candidates for these positions. And that's why here at Alternative Healthcare Careers, we're like, really, I'm excited. I really try to help people into these roles because you can do it. Okay, so here are some pros and cons of this role. The biggest pro, I think, is that it's 100% remote. Everyone really wants a remote opportunity. So utilization review is 100% remote. It is also a full-time position with great benefits. Now, we get this question a lot. Is it 9 to 5? Is it evening? Is it weekends? And we've actually started to see more and more different shifts come into play. We've seen some weekends. We've seen some later evenings. Usually it is a standard sort of 9 to 5 or, 8 to 4:30 type of role. But we have seen some other roles. Now, I do get asked this question a lot too, if there are ever per diem or PRN. I've seen 2 so far in the 1.5 years that I've been helping students. So they're not very often. Maybe they'll become more often. But there aren't that many PRN roles, unfortunately. Another amazing benefit is that it has upward mobility. Oh my gosh, I feel so frustrating sometimes coming to work and doing so much, and you look around, you're like, why am I working so hard? And, to me, I do get a lot of reward for my patients, but it is frustrating. So the nice thing about all 3 of these roles, the care coordinators, the utilization reviewers, the pre-service coordinators, they all have these same benefits. They all have great upward mobility. And what that means is that you could become a leader. I know several therapists that they've paid for their sort of additional certification for higher understanding of utilization review and say appeals and denials. And now they're working as more leaders. They're managing their team. So you can really grow in this role. They also have bonuses. So in addition to the time off that you get, the benefits that you get, they have a bonus structure. It has to do with productivity. Don't worry, it doesn't have to do with denials of people, but just has to do with getting through your caseload. And they just overall have this upward mobility. Another really neat thing, and this is a little bit more unique for Navi Health, which I think they're an amazing company, but if you work there 1 year and say you were an inpatient care coordinator and you wanted to say go to utilization review or pre-service or somewhere else within the Navi Health, you can do that. They allow for internal movement, and they're not a company that frowns upon it. They understand and they want you to be happy. They just want you to stay within their company culture. So I think that's a really amazing move that they've had, is to allow you to move into these other roles after you've done 1 year. And then because you're working alone, you can go at your pace. You can manage yourself. You're really independent, which I think is really nice. Let's see here. Any questions so far? Okay. Any questions so far on the pros to being a utilization reviewer? Now, here are some cons. So I think, to me, I'm a very active person. To me, a big con is that this is a sedentary role. So this is a role where you are not going to be, walking around very much. You're just going to be reviewing charts. And so that can be it could be a little sedentary. You could, get a little bored because you're just reviewing charts. So let me make this a little bit bigger. Oh, there we go. Now you guys can see it a little bit better, hopefully. So, you're mostly just reviewing charts. So it is more sedentary. Sometimes you'll be having phone calls with people, but, you have to be organized and a self-starter. You are basically at home alone. And so you get, what happens is you wake up in the morning and you've got a docket, basically a list of the charts you need to review. And you're just going to start one by one reviewing those charts. So, you have to keep up with the pace. Just like seeing patients, you have to review these charts. And so you have to be organized and a self-starter. Not all of us are, independent. And so that could be a con for some people, could be a pro for some people. You may get lonely as you're mostly just doing computer tasks. And there's a lot of reading notes and documentation. So if you're someone who's really detail-oriented, organized, loves reading documentation or reading books, then this may be a great avenue for you. But if you're someone who's more active and doesn't like reading as much, then this may not be as good a role for you. But also, if sometimes I think you can learn to love a career. And so, if it has the benefits that you need, and the worst case is you just have to read a bunch of documentation, that's not a bad con. Okay. Somehow my slides got a little messed up. Ooh, sorry about that. They're a little out of order. Let me go back here. Oh, okay. I guess we're on to care coordinator now. That was it. So that is the pros and cons of utilization review. This should change to care coordinator here. The pros and cons of utilization review. What is utilization review? And a little bit, hopefully, of you understanding a day in the life and who can apply for this role. Now let's move on to a care coordinator role. So the first thing I want you to know is that there are multiple different types of care coordinator roles. There's skilled inpatient care coordinator, there's cross-market care coordinator, there's home health care coordinator, there's transitional care coordinator, and there's probably a new care coordinator that's popped up within the last week that I don't know about. So Navi Health especially is just skyrocketing. I see this question in the group is, what's the longevity of these positions? And there's longevity. This company, they're just growing, and there's so many more avenues constantly for them to grow into that they haven't even targeted yet in terms of this type of insurance approval and appeals and denials. And coordinating. And so they're rapidly growing. And like at first they just had inpatient, and then they got the home health, and now they have cross-market and transitional care. So Navi Health is really growing, and so are all the other companies too. This is a growing career option and route. So those are just some different titles that you may see that you can look for when applying. And so now I'm going to just briefly talk about the cross-market and the skilled care coordinator. So what does a cross-market care coordinator do? So you identify the appropriate post-acute care settings and help with discharge planning to improve that patient's rehab outcomes. You may be talking to physicians, you may be talking to patients, families, caregivers, and helping support the family, the patient, and the team along this transition progress. Now, what is a skilled inpatient care coordinator? It's very similar to cross market. You're helping patients achieve their optimal recovery. You're conducting also some functional assessments, team meetings, and helping with discharge planning, but it's more focused on the skilled inpatient care setting. So that's really when we go back to these different titles, they're really focused on different settings. So the home health, for example, that would be great for someone who has a lot of home health experience to apply to. The skilled inpatient care coordinator position would be really great for someone who has a lot of SNF experience and skilled inpatient experience. So those are just some examples. So a little bit more, because that may still be confusing as to like what's a day in the life for these care coordinator positions. So you can sort of sum it up in the fact that they're all very similar, except they focus on different settings. But you're going to be mostly collaborating with the medical team to assess, plan, implement, and monitor a patient's needs and healthcare journey or transition. I really love this idea. I'm so glad that this is going on, and I never knew this was going on because I feel like people get lost, in the healthcare system. So you finally get to help with that. You finally get to help with that transition and guiding them through the system. So it's a very rewarding, care coordinators are a very rewarding position. You're performing phone calls with the family, patients, caregivers, or team to support discharge planning and post-discharge support. You're attending meetings and rounds, providing patient education and functional assessments. And you may also use some certain tools to maybe assess the appropriate level of care for the patient, readmission risks, and needs for other interventions. So you maybe would recommend PT, in the home if they were going to go home after, say you're a skilled inpatient care coordinator and they're going to discharge, you may recommend home therapy for that patient. Does that help? I'm going to look in the comments here. Oh, nice. Okay, we've got some more questions here. And ruminate on this and let me know if you have any questions on care coordinator. Does that help you understand a little bit more? I mean, I can make this bigger again, a little bit more about the care coordinator position and daily roles. Okay, what are the productivity requirements? Is there pressure to deny benefits? So Fred, there is not pressure to deny benefits. We've had, 200 to 300 people, students, and no one's came back and told me that there's pressure to deny benefits. No, there's not. Is there productivity requirements? Yes. So usually what I've heard from, people is that you pretty much have about a half hour per chart to review. And you're pretty busy throughout the day. So you're not, you're not chilling at home. You're working the whole day. So speaking to, care coordinator positions, utilization review, pre-service, they are busy roles. So you're not going to be chilling, just like you were at the clinical, setting, but you're going to be busy. So it's about a half hour for chart. And you see, I think between like 8 and 12, charts, maybe a little bit more than that, like maybe like 10 to 12 charts. And some charts take longer and some charts take less long. It just depends. You're going to read some notes that are really cut and dry and you're like, easy, boom, done. And then you're going to have some where maybe you have to call, the therapist and see, what was really going on. Maybe you'll have to talk to the team because you're not alone in these roles. These roles, it's very interdisciplinary. So even for like the utilization reviewer, you have a team. So ultimately, you're not really making the final decision. The physician is making the final decision. But you sort of make up a write-up and you bring it to the physician and you essentially, all through Google Meet or Teams or Zoom, you bring it through to the physician and you're like, I don't think this meets medical necessity. And then, yep, I'll discuss salaries in a second. Yep. I don't think this meets medical necessity. And then the physician's going to take a look at it too, and then go from there. And then we got one more question here. I noticed the majority of the jobs listed are for LPNs, RNs. Does this mean as an OT you could still apply? Yes. So I would still apply, and you're going to be offered therapist pay. But, you may be looking in the wrong place if you're seeing those. So we have a whole list of companies that hire therapists. So sometimes if you're looking on Indeed, you're going to find a lot of the RN jobs. What I suggest you do, and this is with any job, this is like a top tip, really with any job, put therapist after it. So, for example, ergonomic specialist, and then put physical therapy or physical therapist, utilization review, physical therapist or occupational therapist. Put that by the title, and you'll start finding that it's going to pull up more PT roles, more OT roles, more SLP roles, more assistant roles. But you have to know the right companies to look. So a couple to name are Anthem, Navi Health, and United Healthcare. We have more on our website that have more companies listed. There's a good like 20 plus companies that hire both, and we have a list for assistants as well that hire. So I would say to not waste as much of your time with the RNs and the LPN roles, and try to focus on trying to find the roles that really want OTs, speech therapists, and PTs. But, this is a little bit of location dependent. Like we said, even though this is remote, it's still location dependent. So if you do not find those within those specific PT or OT or SLP or assistant roles, then I would say to apply to the LPN or RN roles. Hopefully that helped answer your question. If not, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to help. Okay, Fred, salaries. Let's see. Should we cut to the chase? Everyone wants to know the salaries. Do they differ based on employee location? So not really. They don't really differ based on employee location, but that they do differ is based on years of work. So if you have less years of work, you're going to get paid a little bit less, but it's only like 1 or 2K difference. So pretty much if you're like 0 to 3 to 5 years, you're going to get paid around $80,000 a year. And don't forget, you also have your benefits that come with that, your paid days off, all of that stuff. I can provide that in a second. And if you have more experience, like between like 5 and 10, then you're going to get more like 82 to 84, and then a little bit higher if you have 10 plus years of experience. So you're looking between like 80 to 85K, depending upon how much years of experience you have. And a list of the website. Yes, I can get that for you. 1 second here. 1 second. I'm just pulling up. Hang tight with me. Don't leave. I'm just pulling up the list of where you guys can find the different utilization review jobs, the different companies that hire. So hang tight. Okay. I'll put this in the comments. So I just put in the comments here the link where you can go. That's our blog. And that's got a lot of information that I'm talking about right now. And it's got the list of assistant jobs. Oh, I got a thumbs up for that. Woo! Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll take all the thumbs up I can get. I've had a crazy day. And so that's got the list of the jobs. It's got salary info. It's got a bunch of info in that blog post. Okay. So that's care coordinator roles. Now we're going to go on to the pros. So I think, when I say pros, it's tough because, some things can be a pro for some people and some things could be cons for some people. So the biggest difference between care coordinator roles and the utilization review and the pre-service is that they are not fully remote. They are hybrid, meaning they're half-time remote and half-time in the facility. So this could be a pro and con. Some people like to mix it up. I know my husband, he likes to go in every once in a while to work. So some people like that and some people don't. So it is half the time. So basically, 2 to 3 days a week, you're going in, 2 to 3 days a week, you're staying home. And so one of the pros of that, though, is it's more social. There's more interaction. Not only is it more social because you're going in, but also it's more social because you're really talking with the patient, you're talking with the family, you're talking with the physician. So there's much more interdisciplinary interaction. And so, that I think is something that can be a pro for some people. Some people, need that interaction, and some people would like to stay home more. This is, once again, though, full-time, just like the other positions, full-time employee, same benefits. It has the upward mobility. It has that flexibility of after 1 year moving. And my biggest pro, I think, with the care coordinators, I would say, is that I think out of all 3 sort of big titles, that I think you get the most job satisfaction with these roles. When I've spoken to therapists in these different roles, just sort of seeing their body language, I think that the care coordinators have the most passion and for their job and really get excited by it, because I think they get to see the patient improve. They get to see those results. They get to hear, the praise from the patient. And I think, we all sort of wish that there was a coordinator role, because we all know how hard it is, and we all sort of were doing that as therapists. And so I think it's sort of like this is something we already were doing. So it's real natural to continue in this other role. So I think that's the biggest thing, if I were to highlight like how to choose this versus the other two, is if you don't mind the going into the facility sometimes, I think this gives you the most job satisfaction. And do you guys want to know a secret top tip right now? Who wants to know a secret top tip? Wash hands. So secret top tip is that the most jobs right now are skilled inpatient care coordinator. So that is what's like the most common jobs right now. So if you're looking, these roles are something you can get into really quickly. Okay. So now we're going to go to pre-service care coordinator. So the pre-service care coordinator role, some of the things that they do, they review pre-authorization requests for skilled nursing and rehabilitation services. They determine if, quote, requests meet medical necessity for the requested level of care. Once pre-authorization requests are determined to be appropriate, then they'll coordinate the transition of patients from the community or the acute setting to the next appropriate level of care while following established policies and procedures. So that's sort of confusing, right? Who's confused by that? So here are a little bit more of some of the duties that are performed. Yes. Oh, nice. You'd like to share it? Yeah. So what you can do, Fred, actually is in the group. The group's private, but you know what? This will be in our page. So if you go to our Facebook page, there's a share, and you can just sort of share it to them. Also, really easy way to share this is YouTube. This is in our YouTube channel, and you can just hit the share button from there too. No bother at all. Honestly, I'm having so much fun. I'm glad you guys are interacting. It's helping me stay awake and that. So this is good. Okay. I'm only seeing the list. Let me post that list again. Let's see. It didn't post to Facebook. You can only see your comments. Okay, let's see. I'll put it in a banner. I'll make a banner of it. Hang tight, guys. Okay, so this is, hopefully you can see this link. I'm sorry it's so long. That is where you can go to find the blog link that's got more information. Okie doke. So a little bit better understanding of pre-service care coordinator. So there are several duties that you may perform. And so some of them may be like being a clinical information gatherer. You're gathering clinical information and creating authorization documents. You're going to be reviewing admissions for maybe a particular skilled nursing facility. You may be performing prospective reviews of admissions to help coordinate peer reviews. If there are non-engaged patients, you may be notifying the hospital of, your authorization review outcomes. You may be performing training to help other care coordinators. You may be educating. You may have to perform phone calls, and you may be partnering with the team to discuss some of the cases. So this role has a lot more to do with sort of pre-authorization. So it's sort of like the pre-service coordinator is sort of like the authorization before therapy gets done. And that's the role. And then utilization reviewers are sort of, manning the authorization after therapy is done. And then the care coordinators are in the middle, if that helps. So some pros are, this is 100% remote. It's full-time employed position with great benefits. It's got upward mobility. It it has the flexibility and you can go at your own pace and manage yourself. So it's very similar pros to pre-service coordinator as it is to utilization reviewer. I'd say the hardest thing to understand is that these two roles are so similar. So it's hard to know between the two. I think care coordinator stands out much more different than these other two. I would say the pre-service care coordinator versus utilization review is a little bit more interactive than the utilization reviewer, because you are communicating a little bit more with facilities, communicating a little bit more with patients. So I think it's a little bit more interactive than utilization review. But it's pretty similar to utilization review, just sort of before versus after. Okay. So hopefully, I'm going to stop talking for a minute. Hopefully, in these 40 minutes, I've helped you understand the three different sort of big, overarching job titles. I've helped you understand the salary, the pros and cons with them, and sort of who would be the right fit. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to stay on for a little bit longer to answer those specific questions. And I'll look through my blog to see if there's anything I forgot to mention. I think I forgot to mention who can do these other two roles too. I mentioned it with utilization review. So pre-service care coordinator, unfortunately right now speech therapists can't be pre-service care coordinators, but PTs and OTs are. They aren't accepting any assistance. Care coordinators can be speech therapists, PTs, OTs, but they're not accepting any assistance either. So your best bet for an assistant is the utilization reviewer role. And there are also some other, patient care, remote patient care roles that you may find also within Navi Health. Lots more popping up. I was really excited the other day. Oh, thank you, Fred. I'm glad you enjoyed the information. I appreciate that. I was looking the other day at Anthem roles, and they just opened up a health educator role. I can show you guys really quickly here. And I thought that was so neat because, that's just another opportunity. And it didn't say you had to be an OT or a PT or an assistant. It was a little bit more open. Now I need to find out the salary of that because, I'm not sure how good the salary is comparatively. But Sherry asked, so the SICC and care coordinator roles are hybrid. Yes, exactly. So all the care coordinator roles are about half-time in, half-time remote. The pre-service care coordinator and the utilization review roles are fully remote, 100% remote. Yeah. No worries. If you have any questions, Marafe, I'm here to answer them for another couple minutes. But yeah, let me know. But this is all recorded, so you can, watch the live from the beginning or watch, at the end. But awesome. It's so funny at the end, I've got the most views. I should always start a half hour late. Let me pull up Anthem here. So if you guys, one thing I can give you another tip too, is you may be having trouble finding these jobs. So if you go to anthemcareers.ttcportals.com, you'll find right here, search jobs, and you just click that. And then right here, you can filter the jobs. So this is where I found that health educator role. So right here, there's all these health educator roles. And so I can't tell if it's remote or not, and I can't tell the pay, but under qualifications, you just need a BA or BS. And some, experience in health education and patient education, which we have experience. And, they want experience in discharge planning, which we have. So this was focused on cancer. So an RN may have a little bit better luck in the position because, they may have more knowledge, but I thought it was cool that there were all these new roles. But in Anthem here, you can search therapist reviewer, and you can see here you've got some speech reviewer positions, physical therapist reviewer positions, and let me look for the assistant ones here. Oh goodness, I can't spell. Oh, come on. Well, usually they just had a bunch. Let me search physical therapist because I know they had a bunch the last time I looked, which was like last week. There we go. Physical therapist reviewer, licensed social worker. Oh man, maybe they don't have any more of the assistant reviewer positions. That's a bummer. But keep checking because they had 10 assistant roles. And then we'll go to Navi here. So you can go to navihealth.com and go to careers. And right here, you can just scroll to open positions. And then you can Google all the positions that you need to here. So you could search utilization review. You could search skilled inpatient care coordinator. You can see that there's tons of care coordinator positions. This is what I'm talking about. There's a bunch. There's not that many utilization review positions anymore. They're really getting super busy, but there's a lot of care coordinator positions. Yep. Awesome. So one last thing before you guys go. Oh, good. Do you have any suggestions for speech therapists? Well, I just showed you a bunch on Anthem. So check out Anthem. And Navi has them. I would just search trying to use the filter. So just keep trying to use that filter on Navi Health, and also check out the blog that's got a lot of different companies, and then look at those different companies. One last thing, if you guys are interested, I do have a big course here, and we go over not just utilization review, but we go over skilled inpatient care coordinator positions, cross market, all of them, and also pre-service care coordinator positions. And it's got a 2-hour CEU. It's got tons and tons of info like this. And we go super in depth. We do resume reviews and edits. I walk you step by step the whole process. And, we really work super hard to make sure that you get this role. So if you're interested, I'll put a banner for that, and you guys can check out the course as well. And any questions, you can leave it in the comments, live or on the review, live or on the replay, and I'm happy to try to answer them. If you're on the replay. But if you want to check it out, you can go to alternativehealthcarecareers.com/courses/become a utilization reviewer. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to sign off. If you want to have more videos like this, just let me know in the chat. I'd love to know. It really helps me a bunch when people tell me what they need and that these are topics you want to learn. Mike and myself and the team, we want to go over things that you're really passionate about. So let us know. Help us help you. Awesome. Thank you so much. And check out our course, alternativehealthcarecareers.com/courses. Become a utilization reviewer. And you can DM me, Emma Shapiro, if you have any questions, or email us at info@alternativehealthcarecareers.com. We'll see you in the group and in the YouTube channel. Bye-bye.